Think about the last time you were told you were not good at something. Maybe it was math, maybe art, maybe science. Maybe someone casually said, "That's just not your thing." Now think about how many decisions you've made since then, without even realizing that sentence was guiding you. Most of us don't fail because we lack intelligence. We fail because we accept invisible limits. And that's why this story matters. Because it's not really about a man who lived hundreds of years ago. It's about the way you see yourself right now. Imagine a genius so legendary that centuries after his death, we still don't fully understand him. A man whose ideas were so far ahead of his time that even today's scientists and engineers pause in disbelief. Someone who didn't just look at the world as separate pieces, but as one vast interconnected system of patterns, forces, and relationships. That person wasn't an alien. He wasn't blessed with supernatural intelligence, and he wasn't born knowing what the future would need. He was human, flawed, curious, obsessive. His name was Leonardo da Vinci, and what he teaches us isn't just how to paint, invent, or imagine. What he really teaches us is how to think. Today isn't about worshipping genius. It's about dismantling it, breaking it down, and realizing that the mindset behind it is something you can build step by step. Because right now, somewhere in the world, someone with half your ability is doing twice as much, simply because they believe they're allowed to explore. Let's start by confronting a belief most of us carry without realizing it. The belief that genius is something you're born with, that it's like a lottery ticket handed out at birth. Some people win it, most people don't. We're told stories of prodigies, child geniuses, once-in-a-century minds. We see headlines about teenagers building startups, kids composing symphonies, students graduating early, and slowly, quietly, we absorb the idea that if brilliance hasn't shown up early, then it probably never will. But that idea is wrong. Genius isn't a fixed trait. It isn't a badge. It isn't a title. It's a process, a combination of curiosity, persistence, deep observation, and the ability to connect ideas across boundaries most people never cross. Leonardo didn't wake up one day as Leonardo da Vinci. He was born out of wedlock. He didn't receive a formal university education. He didn't grow up surrounded by elite scholars. By the standards of his time, he wasn't supposed to matter. No prestigious background, no formal path, no guarantee of success. And yet, history remembers him as one of the greatest minds ever. Why? Because what he had was something far more powerful than credentials. He had an unstoppable desire to understand how things worked. Not just what things were, but why they behaved the way they did. That desire changed everything. And that same desire is available to you. Leonardo's greatest strength wasn't talent. It wasn't intelligence in the way we usually define it. It was his ability to connect unconnected dots. He didn't study art in isolation. He didn't study science in isolation. He didn't study engineering in isolation. He studied reality. He watched birds in flight and wondered what made them stay airborne. He observed the movement of water and saw patterns others ignored. He dissected the human body not out of morbid curiosity, but to understand how form followed function. To him, anatomy wasn't separate from art. Physics wasn't separate from beauty. Nature wasn't separate from invention. Everything was linked. Now think about how we learn today. Subjects separated by walls. Labels assigned early. You're a science person. You're a creative type. You're not technical. Most people divide knowledge into boxes. Art over here, science over there, math in one corner, creativity somewhere else. Leonardo refused to accept those divisions. He understood something we're only beginning to rediscover today. The world doesn't operate in silos. Reality is a system, and every system follows patterns. When you learn to recognize those patterns, you gain leverage over complexity. Leonardo didn't just see objects, he saw relationships. And that's the difference between consuming information and transforming it. Think about the most successful people today. Entrepreneurs who combine psychology with technology. Creators who mix storytelling with data. Engineers who understand design. Artists who understand algorithms. They aren't specialists in one tiny box. They're connectors. And that mindset isn't new. Leonardo lived it centuries ago. One of the most powerful habits Leonardo practiced was deep observation. Not casual looking, not distracted, glancing, focused, intentional observation. Most people scroll through life. Leonardo studied it. Most people see the surface of things. Leonardo looked beneath it. He asked questions relentlessly. Why does water spiral instead of moving straight? Why does a smile feel alive instead of static? Why do certain shapes feel balanced while others feel uncomfortable? He didn't rush to answers. He stayed with the questions. That's uncomfortable for most people. We like certainty. We like conclusions. We like being right. Leonardo lived in curiosity. And curiosity kept his mind flexible, open, and constantly evolving. Here's something worth thinking about. The quality of your life is often shaped by the quality of your questions. Most people ask practical questions, safe questions, predictable questions. How do I get through today? How do I avoid mistakes? How do I stay comfortable? Leonardo asked strange ones, and strange questions lead to original insights. Try this simple practice. Each day, ask yourself one question you genuinely don't know the answer to. Not a question with an easy Google result. A question that makes you pause. A question that feels slightly uncomfortable. That single habit trains your brain to explore instead of react. And exploration is the foundation of creative intelligence. Another mistake we make is defining ourselves too narrowly. We say things like, "I'm not a math person. I'm not creative. I'm just analytical. I'm just artistic." Those sentences feel harmless, but they quietly close doors. Leonardo never trapped himself in labels. To him, every discipline was just another way of seeing the same truth. Music revealed mathematical ratios. Anatomy revealed design principles. Engineering revealed artistic balance. Each field sharpened the others. Instead of weakening focus, variety strengthened insight. Here's an exercise inspired by that way of thinking. Choose two subjects that seem completely unrelated. For example, poetry and physics. Then ask yourself what they share. Rhythm, structure, flow, cause and effect. When you start doing this regularly, something changes. You stop seeing ideas as isolated facts. You start seeing them as parts of a larger pattern. That's how innovation is born. But there's another side of genius we rarely talk about: failure. Leonardo failed constantly. Many of his ideas were never finished. Many of his inventions never worked. Many of his projects were abandoned. And yet, none of that stopped him, because he didn't see failure as a verdict. He saw it as feedback. Every failed sketch taught him something. Every abandoned idea refined his intuition. Every mistake sharpened his understanding. Modern culture treats failure like a stain. Leonardo treated it like a teacher. If you want to think like a polymath, you have to reframe failure. It's not proof that you're incapable. It's proof that you're exploring. Avoiding failure doesn't make you smart. It makes you stagnant. The people who move the world forward are the ones willing to look foolish before they look brilliant. So, what does all of this mean for you? You don't need to become a Renaissance genius. You don't need to master 10 disciplines. You need to change how you approach learning and thinking. Stop seeing knowledge as something to collect. Start seeing it as something to connect. Build curiosity into your daily life. Expose your mind to unfamiliar ideas. Let different fields collide in your thinking. Carry a notebook not to plan your day, but to capture observations. Write down things that confuse you, things that feel out of place, things that spark curiosity. Those notes are seeds, and over time, they grow into insight. Most importantly, give yourself permission to think differently, to ask questions that don't fit neatly into categories, to explore ideas without knowing where they'll lead. The world is changing faster than ever, and the future doesn't belong to people who memorize information. It belongs to people who can synthesize it, people who can see connections others miss, people who can adapt, reframe, and reimagine. Leonardo wasn't special because he was born extraordinary. He became extraordinary because he trained his mind to remain curious, open, and integrative. That option is still available to you right now. So don't wait for permission to think deeply. Don't wait to feel smart enough. Don't wait for certainty. Genius doesn't arrive fully formed. It emerges through curiosity, courage, and connection. And sometimes, it begins with a single strange question. Ask it, and see where it leads. Thank you for spending this time with me and thinking deeply about ideas that truly matter. If this story sparked a question, a thought, or a new way of seeing the world, I'd love to hear it. Let me know what kind of video you'd like to see next. Until then, stay curious, keep exploring, and I'll see you again in the next video.